Hi, it's me, Ingrid FP, and I wanted to talk about my midsummer party, my midsummer trip, where I spent 3 days in the south of Sweden. It's the first time this year that I've done a longer trip, because I haven't actually left the country since last August, and it brought me a lot of good and bad memories. Unfortunately, the south of Sweden is where I did my internship between the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2022. It was a traumatic time for me because, being an intern in medicine is really hard. And for those of you who have seen the channel since when I started making more videos on the channel, which was around 2021, 2022, you will realize that I was really stressed and discontent and sad about a lot of things, and I was really depressed. But it did lead to me start doing more YouTube. So I think that it did lead to some good things, like my friendship with this person that I went to visit and her son, and also with my ENFJ friend. I'm really lucky to have these people. I also have another friend from down there, but she wasn't there when I was going to visit. So, but it seems like I can relate to the war poets from 1918 who had been through the war. And they could only relate to other veterans. It's kind of like that, where it's like nobody really understands what we went through except for us. So I did get some bittersweet memories of that place, but I did think that this was a really fun trip. I actually got to disconnect. There was no Wi-Fi at the place. I did use some of my data to just check up on things, but I didn't scroll the internet and all that. She had a Nintendo, a really old Nintendo, so we played Super Mario 1 and 3, but I am really shit at video games because I didn't play Super Mario as a kid. I did not have a console of any kind, so I only started playing games on the computer. And that was, way after, that time. So I didn't play those kinds of games, so I'm really bad at it compared to her and her son, who was beating me on everything and every level. We also, played football with him, and it was fun. It's just, I'm really bad at these games, and he's always winning. She had a beautiful garden. All sorts of flowers were growing, and there were strawberries that were ripe, but they were getting eaten by the snails. And then she was growing blackcurrant, and it was just beautiful, and it's the longest days of the year, and it's such a beautiful time to see Sweden. I recommend, Sweden is so dark so much of the year, so finally you get these days that are absolutely, truly magical, because you're there and it's like, wow, what time is it? You look at your watch and you're like, wait, it's 10 p.m. and you thought that it was 5 p.m., and you have no idea what time it is. Now in the south of Sweden, there's less of that, eternal sun thing, midnight sun thing, because, it's the south. But the sun shines so bright. I got a sunburn. I think that the sun shines brighter in Sweden, or that I'm less careful about the sun in Sweden, because it seems like it's cold, but the sun is shining just as hard. Because in France, I rarely get a sunburn because I just put a bunch of, sunscreen on me. I did have sunscreen, but it was only SPF 30, so I think that was the reason why I got a sunburn even on places where I put sunscreen on. But so we were out, we were going to go swimming, but we did not swim because it was too windy and absolutely freezing, it felt like. But then in the evening, it was like super nice weather, and we put our feet in the water, really soft sand, really soft algae, and just very clear water. And it was like 7, 8 p.m., you know, and the sun is still shining, and we're just there, and we can talk about all of our traumatic experiences, and we could just, you know, couple ourselves out of this whole grind of work. She had to go back to work, but I'm on holiday this week, so but it was really nice, and we ate strawberry cake, and we had the grill, and we grilled some chicken, and we grilled tomatoes, and we grilled salmon, which was really nice, and we also ate a burger at this place that was right by the sea, and yeah, it was just lovely. And she kept trying to make me try out different things from the south of Sweden, so I ate some south of Sweden bread, and then she said, "Do you like the water?" And I'm like, "Yeah, the water tastes okay." But it's actually near a place where a lot of the bottled water in Sweden comes from. So, but they add bubbles to that water. So I was basically drinking the best water in Sweden, but without the bubbles, you know. And I do think that my hair got blonder on this trip. I don't know if it was the sun or if it was the water. I think that there's a combination of both, actually. But I came out of the shower and I was like, wow, my hair has gotten blonde. And yeah, so, or it might be the sunburn that by contrast makes my hair look even blonder. I don't know. Anyway, we had a really nice time. We then went to a midsummer party, which was a traditional one, and it was a local one. And my friend would actually meet people and be like, "Oh, I haven't seen you since kindergarten," and blah blah blah. And it was really nice because it was her childhood home. And then we were there, and they had games, and they had food. And the games, there was one game that was like a wooden clown face with like a flap where you had to have a roll-up sock and throw it against the flap. And if you threw it against the flap, then you would get like a pastry flow out, like a little cream ball that's covered in chocolate, would fly out, and you would have to catch it. So unfortunately we lost, so we didn't get anything. But then there was a game, and then we got to the dances, and the dances are really special. For those of you who have seen Midsummer, we don't have horror stuff, we don't have sacrifices, but we do have dancing around the maypole, and we do have some pretty crazy songs, and we do have stuff that might look like a cult from outside. It's the one time of year that Swedish people actually, like, you know, show their true colors and their true silliness. Just like, you know, I think that in England there's a whole thing about Christmas being all silly during Christmas. You know, because British people are so uptight that they finally let go all of that craziness during Christmas. In Sweden they let that go during Midsummer. I've spent so many years without any place to go on midsummer. And so I've been in Stockholm during midsummer, and that's the worst place to be if you want to celebrate Swedish midsummer. There's nothing, but it is the best place to be if you want to see Stockholm at its most quiet. Like literally there's nobody there in Stockholm during midsummer. So if you want to have like a quiet trip to Stockholm, get there a little bit before, because the trains and the planes are all a mess during midsummer. I'll tell you guys about it later, but actually being in Stockholm is like, it's so quiet. Nobody in the streets. It's like everybody has gone to their local party. I've been to the Vaxholm party, which is close by Stockholm. You can get there by bus, or you can get there by boat. Thing is, that one is kind of geared towards tourists, so it's not the same sense of community, but it is really fun, and they have like traditional dances and stuff. The most traditional place to have midsummer is in Dalarna, which is the place where they make the Dalla horse. You know, those red horses that are hand painted. That is considered like the true core of Sweden, you know. But so yeah, I was in the south, and it was a local party. There are songs. There's one song where you pretend to be playing musical instruments, and then there's one song where you pretend to be different people. And well, because it's like, first it's the men's round, and then there's the women's round, and then there's the boys round and the girls round, and you can go on and on and on like this, different jobs and stuff. And one of those is Grin Ole, who is like the crybaby called Ole, and so everybody pretends to be crying, which kind of is very culty. You know, everybody's like going like woohoo, and yeah, when there's so many people doing that at the same time, it does seem a little bit culty. And then another thing is then they have Skratt Ole, the Ole who laughs all the time, and so everybody pretends to laugh. And that is really creepy. But yeah, it's just like completely normal, because that's just the song that you're supposed to go through in the repertoire. There's another song that is about a carousel, where, well, there are actually two songs that talk about carousels. One of the songs is about three old women. They went to go to Mora in Dalarna. They want to go there so that they can eat caramel, and they can go on the merry-go-rounds on the carousel, all three together, which I find like such a nice, wholesome song, you know, about these three old ladies that are friends, you know, and you know, there are different like steps that you're supposed to do, like either you hold each other's arm and you dance around like that, or you go and like you hold each other's hand. There's also, so the song that my grandmother liked the most was the one with the carousel. And the carousel was, we would be in our, she bought this little warm pool, my grandma. And so we were only two, and so I would be in that little pool with my grandma, and she would swing me around to this song. And so I really, you know, I developed kind of a fondness for this song. And the song is about like, okay, we're get ready, we're going to go on the carousel, and then suddenly you're supposed to rush really fast, you know, and so everybody's like running after each other. And it's exciting. It's fun, you know, because everybody's in on it. And then there's a song that I think would be really nice for this channel, and it's called Grandma's Little Crow. Okay, right? Good for the Radish Raven fans out there. But it's I don't know really what happens during the song, but what happens, it seems like Grandma has a crow for some reason, and the crow did not have anybody to drive him anywhere. So he drove the car, I think. I think that that's what happens. And so he's driving the car, the squirrel, and ends up falling in the ditch. And the way that you dance this is that everybody's holding hands, right, in a big circle around the maple. And then everybody goes towards the maple, and then everybody goes away from the maple, and then everybody falls down to the ground. Because everybody's like, we're all falling into the ditch. And I find, like, kids find this extremely funny. And I find it really fun as well. I mean, like, you know, these are like these things, everybody's just like doing it because it's a tradition, but it's, our ancestors had some pretty fun ideas. And then there's this a song that is the most crazy song of all, the frog song, or the small frogs song. And they talk about frogs, but they also talk about pigs, which makes no sense, but you will understand. You will understand later. What happens is that first everybody's like, oh, the small frogs, they're strange to look at. They don't have any ears, they don't have any tails, and everybody does this symbol for the ears and the symbol for the tails, where we're just like going like this behind our backs. They have no ears, they have no tails, they have no ears, they have no tails. And then everybody starts jumping with their hands like this behind their back and goes quack, quack, quack. And everybody's just jumping around the maple going quack, 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 like they're acting like little frogs. And then the last verse, it's little pigs are strange to see. Little pigs have ears and they have tails. And they go nuff, 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 nuff. And everybody's jumping and saying nuff, 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 pretending to be little pigs. Which, yeah, is a thing that, yeah, it's weird, but it's you know, a Midsummer is not complete without that song. And I really, really loved that song. When I was a kid, it was the best song. And I think that Midsummer is such a wonderful time of year. It's the best time of year to go to Sweden. You know, no questions asked. Try to get to a place that has a kind of a smaller party. But if you can't, like, maybe go to the Vaxholm one. It really is worth seeing Swedish people just being themselves for once in their life, you know, and not being like, you know, all reserved inside themselves, you know. So I find that to be a really fun party. We then just walked around and took in the ocean, and it's just beautiful to see. I did have a problem getting to this place though, because I had to take 4 different trains, and thing is, one of the trains got cancelled, and so then the next train that was going to come was late, and then because that train was late, and then I took that late train, and that late train stopped in the middle, like it didn't go to the stop that I was supposed to go. They said, like, right before the stop, they said, oh, by the way, this is our last stop in the end. And then I was like stranded in the middle of the south of Sweden, you know, in Landskrona, which is like nothing land. I have no idea what's in Landskrona. There was this weird water tower thingy. But yeah, I was like, what's going on here? And I actually became like friendly. This guy like started talking to me, he was part Japanese, part Spanish, and he was just telling me about his travels, and he was I was telling him about like, oh well, here we are, both stranded in this little place, and yeah, it was just nice to have this discussion with this guy, because I was like, I'm never getting to. I needed to get to Helsingborg, which is it's a town that's very close to Denmark. Actually, there's a ferry that goes from Sweden to Denmark, and then Helsingborg is like on a hill, so there's like this tower on the hill, and you can see the whole rest of the town, and it's a nice town. It's just I don't think I went to live there really, because it's more of a port than like a place that you can go into the sea, like a beach. And also, you know, the south of Sweden, I never will belong there. Like I didn't grow up there or have any connections down there, apart from my very few and my friends from my internship. But there is something that people are more open down there. It's more, in a way, it's a little bit like more like Southern European than the rest of Sweden, you know, because people are more open. The thing is, the south of Sweden does have an accent that is very difficult to get used to if you're from another part of the country. I realized, oh, like I'm not struggling as much as I did before my internship, so I know like how people talk. And I can notice that my friend's son is also starting to talk with that accent, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty funny. But I know that some people down there in the south of Sweden can't recognize, they can't understand me when I talk. But, you know, the more educated people, they know what I'm saying, you know, and they're fine with me being an outsider. But you can tell like who grew up in that area and who didn't, depending on their accent. The South Sweden accent also has a lot of different variations. So I did not go to the place with like the worst accent, which is by Trelleborg, where they really speak with like a sound. Yeah, Swedes can't understand Danish people. Danish people can understand Swedes because Swedes articulate things more, and Danish is a lot more, sorry to say this, but like garbled. It's all the vowels start mixing together, like the speech is not as clear. So the south of Sweden is a little bit similar. But they also speak with like a, you know, the R's are in the back of the throat. And so I sometimes don't understand people when they talk, especially when two people from the south of Sweden talk between each other. They'll go even more into that. But it was just funny because like the trains speak in, like the voice in the trains have the accent, and it's like, and I'm transported back in time, and it's like nästa station, Trelleborg. Like they'll go and they'll say these things, and I'll be like, what do they even mean? But so it is a very quaint place. They have these, you know, the architecture reminds me of like more like Germany kind of architecture, and Denmark. You know, just the way that people are, it's a little bit more open. And yeah, the weather is much better. But we were in an area actually that became very gentrified, so apparently Hugh Grant has a house very close to where my friend lives, because but she's had that house since like her great grandma had this house. Well, you know, now there used to be commerce and stuff in the area. There used to be like market and stores and shops and stuff, and now it's becoming more and more like a museum down there. So it's sad, but you know, nature, the sea is still beautiful, and the beaches, and it's just a whole other world, even though it's all in Sweden. And I look forward to going there again someday. It's just that I can't go there. It costs a lot of money for me to go down there. It's like the equivalent of, you know, a plane ride to in France where my family lives. Because trains cost so much, because airplanes gets, you know, they get money, you know, they get subsidies for their gas, which trains don't get. So the train costs a lot of money, actually. And it's sad because I love taking the train. I find it's like, you know, it's an experience, you know. And it's, I find like I can think, and I can daydream, and I can experience an adventure in a different way than I do on a plane. But yeah, so that was my summer experience. I'm having a week extra here now. Unfortunately, my ENFJ friend, due to her ADHD madness, in a way, she said that she was going to come, then she said that she wasn't going to come, then she said that she was going to come, then she stopped. And even while we were there, she was saying, oh, I'm going to come, and then she said, oh, can I come an hour before Ingrid leaves? And it's like, no. You know, my friend was leaving the house anyway because she has to go back to work on Monday. And so so in the end we had to say no to my ENFJ friend, because like we really wanted to see her, but some things just you can't just expect to come whenever. Sometimes you have to, you know, respect us a little bit. But yeah, I do feel sad that she didn't come, because it would have been a great discussion between us three about, you know, the past and our time. We're all working as doctors. And it just would have been an even more great experience. But I had a good experience anyway, and I'm glad I took the step and decided to do this. And I'm trying to see my friends, even though it is hard because they all live so far away from me. I'm taking small steps to start getting into travel again, because it is fun, even though it takes a lot of energy out of me. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. Have you celebrated midsummer once? Have you been to the south of Sweden anytime? I think that, and I'm talking about Skåne, Helsingborg, and that whole area, Ängelholm. I did my internship on the other side of Skåne, so it's a little bit of a different vibe. If anybody has tried Århus Absolut vodka, then yeah, I've been there too. So I've gone to quite a few places in the south of Sweden. I've been to Trelleborg as well, because once we took the ferry with my dad from Germany, I goes to Trelleborg. And I've been to Malmö, and I've been to Lund. Oh, by the way, Lund. If you go to Lund train station, just don't stand too close to the plants, because I saw a huge amount of rats. Like, I must have seen about 15 rats. Like, it was Ratatouille Deluxe in that place. And I was like, you know, I was sitting down there, and I was like, I heard a squeak, and I couldn't stand there anymore. Yeah, but I really do love Lund. It is a beautiful place. I think that it's one of the most beautiful places in Sweden. And yeah, I've been to Malmö too, Kristianstad. I've been to Hässleholm. Yeah, I think I've seen most areas of Skåne now. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. Have a great day.